Yo, check it out. DunkTV.com, man. You're watching DunkTV.com. Yo, I got the one and only Will Jones. Will Jones is who's the one who discovered me when I was in Petersburg, Virginia, man. And he just got his jersey retired. American University today, man. DunkTV.com was in the house, man. Yo, Coach, man, what's going on, man? This is an exciting day for you.
Very exciting, Tim. It's a day that I think that I will remember as long as I live. It is a culminating day, like, you know, an ice cap being put on top of a mountain. And a lot of awards that you get, you know, this was a great day for that. And I felt real good because my best friend's brother was able to stand because he had passed away, but he had a large part in the success of that.
I mean, you should have been there. It was just really a very touching thing for some of us old guys that was there, some of our old players that was there.
Well, I didn't want to get emotional, right? Because sometimes, you know, you and you and your crowd and the kids, I coach y'all might mistake that for weakness. You know, Coach still got a heart. Dickie was as close to me as your child, as your brother. He was my man.
Right.
We did everything together. So to not have him there when something like this happens that he was such a part of, you know, I didn't want to talk about it. And I knew that if I did, I would get emotional. And I didn't want to show that to those folks up there.
Right. Tell those people, you know, that's watching DunkTV.com, you know, out there in the world right now, who is Will Jones? Who's Will Jones? Where was Will Jones born?
Well, Tim, I was born in Washington, D.C., up in the northwest side, 11th Street, 11th to Sherman Avenue. You can 6 or 7 blocks on a triangle away from Howard University. 6 blocks from Banneker Junior High School, and about 4 blocks from Padoza High School on 11th Street. So I was in a box, you know. Long time ago, we lived in what we would call a box, and that was the black box. As you know it, we couldn't live across where I put you up when you came to school. We couldn't move across 13th Street, and we couldn't move across Water Street. Water Street is over by the reservoir. So we were in this huge box, a ton of children. I mean, children galore. And that's where I grew up. And, you know, we played everything. Everything was a contest. Racing against somebody, boxing, hopscotch, double dutch, you know, guys had out with the girls, any kind of, anything that you could think of. You know, we used to make skate carts, you know, by skate breaking, we put 1 or 2 in, take a wooden crate that came out with a 2x4, put a skate on it, nail down 2 handles, and you had a box that you pumped like a scooter. And they used to race those things, and they got sophisticated. But that's the origin of where I was born up in Northwest Washington.
What high school did you go to?
Well, I went to Dunbar High School. Dunbar was a college preparatory school. And I came along, they had certain things for those who were in school because you had a government in Washington, D.C. When you're in Washington, D.C., they have a government influence. They took typing and all of the government type filing and things for those. Dunbar was a college preparatory. So let's look at it and tell it like this. Dunbar was a school where blacks were going to college. You understand? Not that other people weren't, but that's what their curriculum was about. That's going to college. So it was college preparatory. Armstrong was a trade school, you know, printing, mechanical drawing, construction, you know, I mean, to all degrees. Phelps was a vocational school, you know, the brick that was out in the Northeast. Then they built Spingarn, and they kind of had it mixed. College preparatory, clerk, Cadoza, etc. So that's the way the structure of the public schools was set up when I came out. And Dunbar was a school that if you had to go to it, they weren't all in love with you as an athlete because they had a tendency to make you soft. You're talking about Charlene Drew Jarvis, you know, Dr. Jarvis, you know, invented blood plasma. So that's where their daughters went, you know, the high echelon of our race. Children that was in the city went to Dunbar, and then most of them went to Howard University. They transferred on.
So did you play for Dunbar?
I played for Dunbar. The school that they said was a tenderoni, so I imagine that's how I got my competitive spirit because, you know, Armstrong and Cadoza and Spingarn, everybody is supposed to be, you know, broad and tough. You understand? So bring it on.
Right.
Simple as that. And we brought it. We brought it while I was there. There's no question. We had a very, played with a bunch of guys. Coach still leader that he was, convinced them that these guys can't beat us if we stick together and do what we want.
Right.
So I didn't separate them in the summer. I didn't go get on the best team. Everybody wanted me. I wouldn't go do that. I took them. And we got in every tournament. Right. We won. Now, of course, you know, they were catering a little bit to me.
Right.
But by the same token, I was good enough to be catered to. In other words, you don't cater to somebody and don't win. You cater to somebody that's going to make you win.
Right.
Now, when you get this old, everybody won't say they was just good or they were better. But they're not. You understand? I was ducking basketballs when they were behind us, throwing so many passes to me. I wasn't really ducking them. I was catching them and shooting them. But now they were saying I was shooting too much. But they'll never say I made too many. But now, when they say things, and all of them that rebound, will say if he missed something, I would have got no rebound. But I just happened to play with Will Jones. He missed that many.
Right. Wow.
That's something that I'm proud of.
Right.
But this is what we did at Dunbar High School to get in line and focus with the Washington, D.C. area. Because it was great athletes who could those Armstrong, Phelps, Spingarn, Dunk. Remember, Spingarn is the one that was built new, so the whole Northeast converged on it. So they had their pick in the middle as to who wanted to go to school. And of course, everybody wanted to go to Brandon High School.
Right. Exactly. How many points you scored? What's the highest points you scored in high school?
45. That was the record for a long time.
Wow.
I scored 45. And I think that a kid it was half of the area, and I think a kid over in Northern Virginia scored something like 50. But 45 was my highest.
What made you go to University of
Well, recruiting is different, and there's a cultural bite to it. You understand? Almost similar to your situation. We talk about a little about you to where you could have gone. My mother had passed. My brother had gone to the military. He was a bit older than me, and I had a baby sister. And I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to Michigan State. They wanted to look at me and say, well, we need you a partial scholarship. Well, my father didn't have a dime to send me to school. So it was a waste of time. Thinking somehow I was going to pay partial. I didn't want that. So I had a high school baseball and football coach that took a class. It was graduate work, a master's work with Hugo Dutch Schultz and Pop Cassell, who were administrators at American University. And they happened to ask where I was. And then he said, well, Will's at home, but he's taking a language. I went back because my father told me until he could get help from my baby sister, that he would, until that time came, you understand, then I could go do something in school, but I had to babysit her. Forget the dumb stuff, I had to babysit her. And they came down and they asked a question. And they asked me to come visit us, and Miss Chase talked about it. I said, yeah, and then he came into my house, and we sat there, and remember my father was waiting on Pennsylvania Railroad. He was getting 10-cent tips, and that was big money. And they somehow mentioned the word, we will give Will a free education for 4 years, because scholarships back then were 4 years, not 1 year at a time, they were 4 years. So we can give him a free education. Well, to my father, who came from the South Carolina, and a sharecropper, education meant everything. And first thing he heard was free. And then they told him, all we have to do, Mr. Jones, is Will to sign this piece of paper. And he going to come. My father said, what do you mean? He got to give his permission to sign it. You going to give him a free education? They said, yes, sir. He said, sign that, Will. Well, that's all to it, You didn't talk to back to his father, back to you did what he told you. Right. So that's how I ended up in American University. Wow. They got a jewel in the rough and didn't know it.
Didn't have no clue.
No.
Wow. And how many points you scored
in college?
What was the most points you scored
in one game? Well, that was a game in Evansville in the national championship. That was the finals against Evansville, Indiana. They were ranked one. That was 54. But that was the highest that I scored in college in the same game. It wasn't so much about scoring so much. It was about being consistent. And the consistency was there because, you know, we had a very good team. And the points came early and quick. So I got to sit down. My average was there and the game was out of hand. I didn't play no more. Wow. I could have, you know, Coach and my coach reflecting on that last night today, what possibly could I have had. So I was close to 30 at that time.
How many points you think you could have scored? I mean, realistically.
Realistically, we figured that I was an easy 25 and a half. So you talking about averaging 45, 50 points a game. So you just multiply that by the number of games that you play, which is 27. You come to a figure. But again, those things are done like on need. You know, I guess you need to get other people to play. But my coach was so prepared and so righteous about us getting out of the box and jumping on people. We almost had a gauge in us. That whoever it was, you were going to get jumped on and you were going to score in bunches. Right. You know, and then maybe you could catch up or something, you know, certain things happen. But we played in Dick Wells, you know, and I were the first two blacks to play in the league. Or to be integrated into the school that you're talking about, up and down the Mason-Dixon line, all the way back up. The only places that they had really a black player in was Michigan State Jewish McCoy, the Big Ten integrated, and California, of course, integrated. But we're talking about the Mason-Dixon line, the Southern Belt, Pennsylvania stuff. It took a while. It set in, but it took a while. So we were the first to go in on that and ran into, you know, those problems and what have you about it. So that either made you weak or strong, and it kind of made us strong. But basketball, as it was built back then, was built in the neighborhood. When I tell you about all those kids that were in the neighborhood, right? Basketball was built back there because everybody was in the same area. You had to prove to your peers how good you were before you would go up and prove to anybody else, because they didn't have all the newspaper, internet service, and all that stuff. Right. And if you couldn't do it there, once you tell them, you know, you may as well go away from home and come back and say, I did something with the Clippers. Right. But you had to do it there, and I think they prepared me for, you know, all of the competition and all of the toughness and the roles that I had to assume and play. I think that's prepared me for it. We don't have neighborhoods like that anymore. Because people are doing better, they move out in the suburbs, they're not there to hold tight to a PTA, which is very important in education. You have to have parental support. You have to have people that's, you know, that's looking at the public school to see what the curriculum is, what the kids need, whether they ship. But if you have people moving all the time, that breaks down. Right. So, right. I think it's affecting the public schools in the district and in most cities now. Wow. So, what about the NBA? Well, the NBA, when I came out, remember, was all white league. So we had quotas. Teams had quotas. They weren't going no further than 2. Okay. Wow. I happened to be caught up in the terms of 2, and then maybe a slip up, a slide of 3. But it was close. That's simple as it can be. It doesn't have to be elaborated on if folks don't understand what a quota is. It means if you say, I set my quota at 2, that's all it is. Don't have anything to do with whether you play or not. 2. That's it. And that's the way it was. And that's why you see some of us that y'all call old timers elated and so and thrilled and happy to see the kinds of things that's happening. And then you see the sadness in us. You say, well, wait a minute, he had a problem. And you say, no, you can't do that, because when you get there, you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for those people behind you. Right. So you have to change to make the way so that you don't get caught up in them stereotyping everybody like you. It's like if you cut your hair, you're a criminal. Or if you wear dreadlocks, you're a criminal. Right. Or if you wear a little cap and you're Jewish, you're a criminal. What do those things mean? I don't think those things mean anything. We don't want stereotypical evaluation anymore. Right. We want it to be done on opportunity and merit. And if we get it done on opportunity and merit, I think it'll be a flourish and go forward.
You like being a coach or a player better?
Well, there's 2 different things. It's phases. Of course, if you love basketball, and I love basketball, You love basketball while you can play. You want to be a player.
Right.
And I wanted to be a player.
Right.
But the love for the game was the only other way you can stay close to it with the coach. Now, I really wasn't interested in coaching. No, I really wasn't interested in coaching. I was interested in making a living and trying to make a lot of money. Coaching stifled me.
Right.
In the financial world, because I fell in love with it and thought that the things that I could give back and the things I could teach if the teaching took were more important, because I didn't need a lot of money at that time. You didn't need a lot of money to live, you know. I laugh at it. Teacher's salary maybe $5,000, $4,000. I was rich. $4,000, $5,000 rich. Loaf of bread, 15 cents. Yeah, come on, man. Telephone call, a nickel. You can make it on that kind of money.
That's right.
That's not the way it is now.
Right. Wow.
But between the two, I think they're just phases. One becomes the other. Then, you know, it was always said that if you were an outstanding player, you would have a hard time coaching, which is a myth. But it was kind of true. And I, not in my case, but I saw that, I studied that, and I paid attention. And the thing is that most excellent players, like I'm a very good shooter, means I wouldn't have patience with a guy trying to teach him to shoot or giving him time to learn.
Right.
When just the opposite, in my case, I had more patience than anybody else would, even the guys that couldn't shoot, trying to teach the guy. And I think that's what made me fall in love with coaching. And I bucked that hard of being an exceptional basketball player and not having to transfer that over to another kid that I could do it so you could do it. No, it's a process that you go to do it, and then we'll see how good you do it once you mature and your imagination take over. So just wanted to give those rough fundamentals, and those fundamentals are not, coaches don't deal with them much anymore. They want the finished product, and the finished product is 5-on-5. I mean, go somewhere and tell a guy, hey, we're going to play 3-on-3, and you play, you say, come on, man, yo, throw the ball out, get 5, you know. And that is it. Runaway rocket, you know what I'm saying? So that's why you have so many, you know, problems with them handling the ball at the right time. I ain't saying you can't handle it, but at the right time, because they're not fundamentally sound to know what someone else is going to do. I guarantee you, if you were, even in recruiting, you went and sat down and talked to a kid, and you can't blame him for it, and you don't knock him for it. If you sat down and asked him what was the forward doing when you were dribbling down the left-hand side of the court, he couldn't tell you. Now, he said, well, he was behind me, I didn't see him. Well, in your mind, you still supposed to be seeing what's happening while you are doing something, because you have a basketball. Everybody has the basketball, becomes the leader.
Right.
Everybody. If you touch it for a second, at that moment you the leader. Because you redirect where the basketball goes.
Right.
You know, so you got choice.
Right.
Do I throw it to Will Jones who shoots the lights out, or do I throw it to some goon over there that can't throw it off the boat? It's a big difference, but it's a deep game. And if you sit and coach, and, you know, I coach you guys, and you all missing a lot of things. I had to close my eyes and visualize you and dream, and then put a little bit at a time. Then it became easy. You all used to do it because it was easy. But it didn't start easy. You know, it was drills that we did that was helping you right there. And you didn't know it. So you can't take a drill and say, if you do this drill, this is going to be the result.
Exactly.
It's not going to work. And a lot of people think that. You have to take the drill and plan it so that it is going to equal the end of your means. And then you will have something. You're taking me deep and you're making it think.
Yes, that's a good thing, you know, and then also, no, what's the difference between, what do you think the difference between Division 1 and Division 2?
I think the difference is academic paperwork. I think the difference is whether kids can pass the tests that they have as they teach school. That's the only difference. It's academic. If a kid has good grades, he can go anywhere and play. If he cannot pass the test, then they have to find another place. So he should go test out at that place. If he wants to transfer, he can go out. I'm not too sure I'm in love with the 1 and the 2. You know, to me, 1 and 2 is right back to the beginning of the era when they had black and whites against each other. They were one, we were two. Their leagues were one, ours were two. So I'm not too sure that in education it's 1 and 2, but it's never spoken about how good a university is if a kid goes to school it's not an athlete. They don't say that because Bill Clinton went to Alabama. Where is he from? Alabama. So let's say Alabama State.
Bill Clinton,
Arkansas State. You understand? That he was a 2. You understand? He could go to Arkansas State, didn't do exactly what he did, go to Georgetown, and he claims Georgetown is where he graduated from. Or Harvard.
Right.
But he's smart enough because he's a Rhodes Scholar. But he had to get the foundation at Arkansas State. So I think that the difference when we evaluate basketball players, now, the talent level is going to flow up so high to where a kid might not have the talent of all of the kids that's on that team that's Division I, then he has to make a decision to go to 2. Right. I mean, if he's playing in a position where it's crowded and the crowd keeps going to all the schools, then he will become what you would call a 2. Somebody would just go down to another level. I liked it better when we went to school. They call it university and college. They didn't put that kind of number. So, and then the ruling on it was how many buildings you had on your campus. If you had 5 schools or something, you qualified as you would know it now, and the world and the country know it as a 1. And if you were a college, you didn't have as many schools, or you didn't have a school for the language, or you didn't have a school for the international commerce. If you didn't have those schools, it was university college. Now, when you got those schools, you were automatically a university. And they don't do that now. Now they go in the economic part of it with sports to be 1 and 2. The way it's structured now.
Who do you think was one of the best players? I know this is a broad, bold question. You've seen in Division II that could play in
it is very difficult. I think all of you guys that I had at the university could have played there. I mean, I would be remiss to stop and call all names. I'm trying to think of a couple of them that could, but all of you all could play there. I mean, that's a nomenclature. It's hard for me to say that. I think it's a whole lot of guys that play in Division I that can't play Division II.
Right.
I think it's more of them. And I don't want to say them on the tape, but it's a lot of them.
Right.
But pick the school. When I show you, you call the school, I show you. They don't belong.
Wow.
But again, that academic, there you go, that academic qualification, you know. And they place a heavy hand on the academic for an athlete, but the athlete has to do so much more. And when you talk to people who are academicians that believe in that stuff, but they never did it.
Right.
They don't know how hard it is to split it. Wow. You understand? Or else they would change it.
Right.
You know. And when they get a kid and the kid takes off, become interested in growing or doing that, they become. But it's too late because they've already signed the papers on it saying, "Oh, you can't come in here because you don't have it." That's not true. Wow. I think that there have been many Division II type basketball players that play in the league. Earl Monroe. I don't want to sit here and call names of a lot of names. I'm a Julius Irving. Right. You know, Massachusetts was a Division II school. I don't want to get into who it was when they tell me that. So all of a sudden, when they went over, Julius became a great player. That's not true. Oh, Earl Monroe didn't become a great player until he went to the Bullets. Well, the Bullets didn't even want to pay him. First salary he got was $19,000, but to Earl going to Winston-Salem, $19,000, a lot of money. He signed it, but they had to pay him more than that after he got there. But he turned out to be the best. Or one of the best. And that's you have to travel that road.